Hi, and welcome to a brand new video of the Target Individual Program, the Target Individual Experience. Um, the reason why I'm doing this video, I was just listening to a YouTube tech channel that I subscribe to. Uh, the name is Linus Tech Tips. That's the name of the YouTube channel. And so I'm just listening in the background because I'm, putting the kids' winter clothes away and packing their spring summer clothes into their drawers. And so I'm listening. This presenter is talking about coolers, CPU coolers, right? And I'm gonna just play the short cut, and then I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna expunge on why when we as TIs talk about how they use certain people, social media. They do it on TV too. How certain things are written into the script that they read, right? Which makes no sense. I mean, stuff like makes no sense. Then you gotta question why they put it in there. Okay, because it has no relation to what it is that they're talking about. Okay, so let me switch the camera to the back-facing camera, and I'm gonna play this. It's a very short clip. Okay, so this is the new video they put out. It's called "How to Build a PC: The Last Guide You Ever Need," and they're talking about parts that you would need, budget, features, RAM speed, memory speed, hard drive, and all this stuff, right? Let me get to this part, which is interesting. So this is the part where you talk about CPU coolers. Okay, now I want you to listen. All right, just listen.
Let's talk cooling. Enthusiasts tend to instinctively gravitate towards custom loop liquid cooling, and this is usually the absolute best you can get with outgoing Sub-Zero, which isn't sustainable long term if you're a coward. But
okay, so I'm gonna pause that. All right, let me switch the camera back. Okay, so what does cooling a CPU in terms of the CPU cooler, the size of the CPU cooler, because if you're buying certain CPUs, some comes with cooler, some doesn't. You have an aftermarket cooler, and even if you select a cooler that's not appropriate for the CPU that you want, it'll still work. It's just that you won't be able to overclock, and you may have throttling on your PC because the cooling isn't adequate. Now, what does that have to do with him saying which is not sustainable if you're a coward? So I want you to understand how they write these things into the script. A lot of things, and it brought me back to earlier on when I was being targeted. I was watching the news. Okay, I'm watching the news, and they was like, when we'll be back, we'll talk. Coming up next, blah 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 blah. Okay, so and I think I can't exactly remember what it was, but when because I watched the entire broadcast, right, which is about was a half an hour news program. So when they came back from the commercial break, they never mentioned that they said that they were going to talk about when we come back after the break. They never mentioned anything about it afterwards. Okay, now these things will kind of fly by people's ear, but when you're a TI, you're kind of keen to these things because you're being attacked. You're being attacked psychologically. You're being attacked physically. You're being attacked emotionally, right? So again, I just wanted to show these things because this is what they do. So, for example, this morning when I got up, and I wanted to talk about this, but I think I'm gonna talk about it right now. So I went to bed last night. I went to bed pretty late, around after 4 in the morning, because they were with the remote monitoring, so it's kind of hard for me to go to sleep at that time. And plus the video that I put out, I guess they wasn't too happy with that, right? Again, they sent me a subliminal message about if I leave home today, and I was in the kitchen. I think I was washing dishes, and I just saw lights flashing, right? And I look out the window, it was a police vehicle driving by with they just flashing red lights because they love to do the color thing, right? And woke up this morning. I laid in bed for about half an hour. Didn't hear any noise at all. As soon as I got up out of the bed, they started with the sirens. Then I came, made breakfast. I turned on the computer, and I went to plug in my tablet to charge it. And as soon as I plugged in my tablet to charge it, I get a text. No, I'm sorry. I hear sirens, right? So as soon as I heard the siren, then I get a text afterwards. It was Pam sending me pictures of the kids, all right, because they're in Texas with their grandmother while she's in Costa Rica. And then, like again, immediately. So that means that they're because even when you're in another country, you're still being targeted. I've went to other countries, early in my target, I was still targeted there. Okay, so it doesn't matter. All right, unless you go to maybe a country that's not affiliated with NATO or what have you, and you know they can't target you with in terms of the directed energy weapons. They will still have people there gang stalking you. That's just the nature of the program. That's the way it is. And he had these cars, constant cars driving back and forth, revving the engine and stuff like that. It's all noise campaign. So I got on the computer, and when like I said, I called. Not called, but Pam texted me a picture of, and it was just a quarter there. It was a quarter on the computer desk, and I'm trying to remember, did I put it there? I don't remember, so I'm gonna assume that I put it there. Okay, or what have you. I'm not getting into that paranoid stuff because what they used to do is, like again, come into my bedroom when I was sleeping and leave stuff on the floor when I was sleeping. Right? Leave like pennies and stuff like that. So yeah, right. So this is what they do: psychological warfare. It is meant to destabilize you psychologically, mentally. It is meant to kill you slowly, right? Poisoning your food, hitting you with these directed energy weapons to take away also that, but your intelligence, right? Your mindset, and then trying to create a negative persona within your mind, all right? So again, but they're not telling the people who they get on the ground to target you what they've done to you. They're not telling them how they drug you. They're not telling them how they brainwash you. They're not talking about those things, right? Because again, these are the people that are in position of authority, and people's going to believe them, right? People are going to believe them, and particularly when they belong to a religious organization, because we know religious organizations use brainwashing tactics or coercive persuasion or thought reform programming, right? They do it on their members, and they do it against those who they deem a threat, whatever, right? And particularly when you're seeking knowledge, they will attack you. They will attack you. Like once they realize that you're seeking knowledge outside of what they condition within you, whether it be within the educational system, within the churches, they will attack you. I make no mistake about it. They surveil all of our spaces, particularly as black people. They surveil all of us, and the one thing that they love to do is to ingrain the belief of their religion within our minds. And the minute we start to deviate from that, they will attack you. They will, if you read, I talk about this all the time. Robert J. Lipton, the 8 criteria of thought reform. They will do things, set things up, right, to and manipulate the environment, manipulate people around you, just so they can make you believe that you're having some sort of supernatural experience or out of body experience, those kind of things, right? So understand that is trickery, and we see this with these, particularly in the 80s, where you had these pastors getting on TV and paying people to come up there and pretend like they're ill or they're sick or have you, and then laying hands on them, and all of a sudden they cure. Okay, it's all lies and manipulation and trickery. This is what I want you guys to understand. They're using technology. That's what it is. Okay, they've been using technology that's hidden from us to make us believe these things don't exist. Okay, like I said, we are far more advanced than we'd like us to believe. And I'm gonna give you an example of how. Just go on YouTube and Google Hong Kong in the 80s transit system, the technology that they use. You see, what they do is that other countries like China, Japan, they share their advancement with with their population. They don't hold nothing back, right? Because they want their population to move ahead technologically. In America, few people are given these technologies very early. You know, whether you're wealthy, you live in certain area of the country, what have you. But for the rest of it, vast majority of people, you know, they hold back technology because, again, they want you to think in your mind that these things don't exist. So when things are happening around you, you don't think about that it's being technology, but it is. Okay. I was talking to somebody and I said to him, you know, I had a Chinese coworker who was telling me, he was like, you know, and this was in the early '90s. He was like, you know, in America, they're using tokens to get on the subway station, right? He's like, in Hong Kong, we use a card, right? And then they came up with the Metro card. This was like this is like a decade after they came up with the Metro card. Whereas places like Hong Kong, Taiwan, they have been using these things for decades. So I want you to understand how in America, how they dumb us down, you know. And so, like I said, so when I was watching this stuff, I was listening. I was like, what did he say? He said, unless you're a coward. I'm like, what the hell is what that has to do with the CPU cooler? It doesn't make no sense. But again, these things, subliminal messages, are written into the script, and it just goes to show you, like the CIA, the FBI, the NSA security agencies, that when it comes to given these, because they have their agents, and they have them in places where they're the writers, they're the television producers, the television writers, the newspaper writers. We saw this with the New York Times, who they had numerous newspaper writers, journalists that were on their payroll. Okay, and it's not just the New York Times, the New York Post, all these other news agencies. So about Facebook, totally integrated. The CIA, the FBI are totally integrated within Facebook, within Google, right? So we understand these things, right? Because again, if you do a simple Google search and look up the CIA program before Facebook, and you will see that they had a program in which to create and develop, to have a file on every single American, whether you're a citizen or not, those living here in the United States. But with the creation of Facebook, they don't have to do all of that. Now people are willingly giving up their locations and all this stuff, right? So they can say that they invaded your privacy because you're giving the shit up freely. People post shit about, I'm at this restaurant, I'm at that restaurant. If somebody wanted to track you, they ain't got a good no device and plans on you. They just look at your Facebook feed. Okay? Understand these things. How they circumvent things, how they create things to get around the laws, and it doesn't matter because they will outright break the law because they are the authority and they think that they're allowed to do it, right? So, yeah. But I just wanted to expound on that, to widen the scope, because again, certain things that I listen to, I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense. And when stuff like that doesn't make any sense, then I gotta question it. And that's how you know that you are a critical thinker. That's how you can recognize these sort of subliminal messages or what have you, these sort of programming. You can understand that. All right. So I'll talk to you guys in the next video, and just remember, okay, question things, because again, those that are in power, those that are within the security agencies, law enforcement, within the church hierarchy, they all work in conjunction with one another. Okay, and it's to maintain white supremacy. That's basically what it is, right? So I'll talk to you guys in the next video.